Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, something I saw from the Rebbe Shlita over Shabbos, from the Arizal, which got my mind thinking a little bit just about some of the things that we've been discussing. But first and foremost, there's a chiddush that's brought from Rav Hillel Paracher. The Rebbe's been bringing it from Rav Hillel Paracher, and Rav Tzadok HaKohen Milblin also brings it in Pri Tzaddik. And that is that the Gimel de Paranusa, the 3 weeks preceding Tisha B'Av, and the Haftorahs that are associated with doom and destruction and difficult times for Klal Yisrael, those represent the Gimel Ration, those represent the upper three spheros, and the Zayin de Nechemta, the 7 weeks of comfort that come afterwards, represent the Zayin Tachtonim, the lower seven spheros. Now, we know that every parts of everything is composed of 10. It's the 10 interconnecting parts that coalesce together in order to create a sum total that is greater than the sum of its parts, and the secret of the partsuf, and the secret of the configuration that emerges from the parts. But when looking at it in a holistic perspective, that 10 sphera system is broken up into two parts: the nistaros and the niglos, that which is hidden and that which is revealed. The upper three, Keser Chachman Bina or Chachman Mirendas, are referred to as the Gimel Ration, that are transcendent and removed as a result of their infinite light and cannot enter into the vessels of language which are minimizing, and therefore they're hidden away. And the Zayin Tachtonim from Chesed down to Malchus represents that which is Nigla to us, for us to be able to grasp the things that we have a relationship with, the things that we can grab hold of. Now, very often, nearly always, that which is higher, the Gimel Ration, is concealed because of its lofty level, and that which is revealed, the Zayin Tachtonim, is revealed because of its lower level, and therefore we can access it. So it's strange, nearly opposite or paradoxical at first glance, to see the Gimel de Paranusa, the 3 weeks of destruction and difficulty, as being associated with the Gimel Ration, the loftiest level of a Kadosh Baruch Hu's expression, and the Zayin Tachtonim, which represents the comfort and the redemption that comes afterwards, as being relegated to the secondary stage of the 7 lower spheros. It seems Adrabah Ipcha Mistabra, Olam Hafuch Ra'isi. That which is above is below, and that which is below is above. That which is above, which is the Gimel Ration, is brought down into below because it's associated with destruction and difficulty. And that which is below, which is the Zayin Tachtonim, is raised above because now it's associated with the Sheva Dinachemta and the 7 weeks of comfort. But as I state in Rav Hillel Paracher and Rav Tzadok HaKohen Milblin. Now, what the Rebbe has been talking about is that it's considered destruction to the degree that we have no graspability of it. It's considered removed from us, and therefore the mind destroys itself to a certain degree, and it comes to its limit in being aware of the fact that I can't grasp this in accordance with the typical orientation of building an idea. And therefore, in relationship to the structured ideas that are graspable by me, the ones that are usually lower and more imminent, so the upper limit of the mind in contact with that which is far higher is going to be seen as destruction. The secret of the Shvira de Kedusha, the secret of the Karnei Chagavim, and the chaos that exists above when we can't grasp it. And because of that, because concealment represents that which is so lofty, so exile, that which appears as destructive, that which appears as difficult, is in truth representing a light that is far too great to be revealed at the present moment. And if I can grasp it as redemption, if I can grasp it as comfort, so then by definition, it has minimized itself so that it's accessible in my own understanding. And there's a secret that the lower expression of our own understanding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Nechama is the Ikar Tachlis, like the Chozeh Milblin said, that the Geula Prati of each and every person is in truth the Geula Klali. And it's in accordance with how Klal Yisrael want things to be and how Klal Yisrael need things to be, not simply the ultimate and undying faith that everything is good, but rather the demand for a Toiv Hanira V'Hanigla in line with the Chozeh Milblin's demands of how HaKadosh Baruch Hu run the world. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to do it in accordance with a way where it's good for each and every Yid, where it's good for each and every Yid in a revealed way, and that each and every Yid has the ability to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is the good that I want to see in the world, the good, HaToiv Hanira V'Hanigla, no longer just the Choik HaToiv L'Hetiv, which is the general goodness that I don't understand in accordance with my vessels, but I want the Zayin the Nechemta. I want to draw it down to a place that I can understand it and know where the relief comes from. But nevertheless, we see that through a certain erech, through a certain relative positioning, the Gimel de Paranusa, the 3 weeks of destruction, represent that ideal place where the mind cannot grasp it. It's like Lahaskil Bina, the Balatanya says, when we come to realize that the difficulty emerges from the most concealed place of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's expression and the secret of Kach Allah b'machshava, and that the only way to understand is by relinquishing any attempt to understand, there we can grab hold and we could become a receptacle for the light of the future in the way that Rabbi Akiva was able to laugh at the Churban. But that's the level of Rabbi Akiva v'chavirav. And in that sense, the Gimel Paranusa are oriented with a higher light, and the Sheva de Nechemta are oriented with a lower light, the light of Nechama, something I can grasp. Now, what the Rebbe has been describing, based on Rafael Parcher, is that this relationship of the Gimel and the Zayin also finds expression when dealing with the partzif of Atik Yoimin. The partzif of Atik Yoimin, the loftiest lights of Atik Yoimin, what we refer to as the Reisha de Lois Yada, the Keser, Chochma, and the Bina, Kavyachol of Reisha de Lois Yada, represent that Atik Yoimin, that lofty place, the lowest place of the higher level, that place of infinite unknowing, where the Reisha de Lois Yada, and that which I can't understand, is never grasped. It's mugula. There's no levush on it. There's no garment that enables that light to be reduced so that it can be received, but rather that light is perpetually beckoning the mind to come back to the place of surrendering knowledge, of coming to the place of Reishad Lo Asyada, of Hispia B'tzachzachos Nafshecha, that Amarti Echakmeh V'hiru Chaykim Yimeni. That's the secret of the Gar de Atik. That's the Gimel Ration of Atik, the Reishad Lo Asyada, the Keser and the Chachma, the Reishad Lo Asyada, the Keser, which is going to be the Golgalta and the Viradachya, and the Meichas Tima'a and the mind of concealment, which is the secret of the B'tzina de Kardinu. So those are the Gar de Atik, and all we have access to is from Bina and Das of Atik and Lamata. And so the Gimel Ration of Atik are concealed. They're not revealed to us. They're like, to a certain degree, the Gimel de Parinusa, which are so lofty that the only way that they can express themselves is in the destruction of the ability to grasp them, which is why the secret of Reishad Lo Asyada is really tied up in doubts, and it's really tied up in not knowing. Anything that is dependent and rests in that place of the Gimel Ration, the Atik Yoimin, and the place of Reishad Lo Asyada is the Bechina of Lo Yada. Lo Yada Ishes Kvura. So a person doesn't know the place of Moshe Rabbeinu's burial place. The Lo Yada, we don't know the Kodesh HaKadoshim of Makom Ha'aron Ena Min Amida. It's inaccessible to us. It's behind the Kruvim. In that place, we don't have the Nekuda Pnimis of Tchelas yet. We don't have the Evan HaShasiyah. Those places are concealed by grasp because they're loftier than grasp, and the only way to grasp them is by way of knowing that I can't grasp them. That's Reishad Lo Asyada. That's the Radla and the Keser and the Chachma of Atik Yoimin. But then we have the Zayin Tachtonim de Atik. We have the 7 lower spheros, which correspond to the Sheva de Nechemta, the 7 weeks of consolation, wherein we grasp some element and some revelation from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's the secret of the Zayin Tachtonim of Atik that are mislabish within Arich Anpin, that the lower level of Atik Yoimin rests and garbs itself within the higher level of Arich Anpin, which is the beginning of our graspability. There's 2 Chalakim to Keser, that which is ancient from a past, and it's the lowest level of an ancient past, and that which is the newest beginning of the present moment. That's the Atik and the Arich. Atik is the Malchus of the higher level, and Arich is the highest level of the lower level. And therefore, Gar da Atik is removed from us. But what we have is the Zayin Tachtoinim da Atik that are mislabish themselves within Arich Anpin, because the lower part of every level, the Zayin Tachtonim of every level, reveal themselves to the next level by way of Habasha. They're engarbed. They rest within the new expression of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's vitality, so that the previous revelation is still there, except now it undergoes a process of concealment and reduction and Habasha, which is a concealment for the sake of revelation, which is the secret of a garment which hides in order to reveal. And it's only the lower 7 spheros that can be garbed because they're of graspability. And those are the Zayin, Tachtoinim, the Atik, which are mislabish within Arich Anpin and referred to as the Zayin Tikunim de Golgalta, the 7 rectifications of the mind, the 7 rectifications of Reisha de Lo Asyada's expression in Arich Anpin, and the Gra, and the Tzaddikim of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, and the Ramchal. These tikkunim and the interrelationship between Atik and Arach becomes the backbone of Pnimiyas HaTorah, especially in Safed Tzniusa and in the Idrazuta and in the Idraba. This is the Iker Sugya. The Iker Sugya is the Halbasha of Atik within Arich Anpin down all the way to Malchus, so that we can be Megala from within Malchus, the Pnimiyas of Malchus, which is the Pnimiyas of Chachma, which brings us back up to Reishad Lo Asyada. But this Sugya is Gufei Sugya. But what we're going to do right now is look at what Rav Parach said. that if the Zayin and Nechemta, the 7 weeks of consolation and comfort, which come about as a result of the diminution of the infinite light so that it can be grasped by way of understanding, in spite of the fact that it is still beyond understanding, so these 7 weeks are drawing down that which cannot be understood through the lens of that which can be understood, which is the secret of Nechama, which is the secret of changing one's mind. And each of the Zayin and Nechemta correspond to one of the Zayin Tikkunim of the Zayin Tachtoinim of Atik that are Mislabish and Arich. And the first week is the Chesed Bayid Kol Yuma. Shabbos Nachamu is Chesed. Shabbos Nachamu is Chesed. And the second week, what we're just coming off of right now, is the Halbasha of the Tala de Bedulcha. Tala de Bedulcha. The Tala de Bedulcha is that rectification that comes about from the tikkunim of Atik, that's Mislabish and Arich, meaning to say that point of contact between the infinite lights of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's expression from above, that which we have no grasp of other than by way of faith that they exist in spite of the fact that it's so present it feels like nothing. We open up our minds and it's Psach Lanu Shar B'Shash Ne'ila Shar, and that gate that is the opening to that which rests above within the secret place of Bittul within the mind, that Etzem Haluz. What we do is we draw down the light of above to be mislabish within the seichel below, and the mind becomes a receptacle to receive the goodness that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is bestowing that day. That's what the tikkunim of the Gilgalta are. Those ways of orienting. A tikkun is always a concealment for the sake of a revelation, a reduction for the sake of expression, a minimizing for the sake of maximizing. Tikkun represents fixing that which was chaotic. What was tohu? It was too much light, which is why the Gimel Rishon are referred to as the Gimel de Paranusa to one degree or another. It's too much light. It can't be revealed down here. It's the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, like we said in the name of Rabbi Nachman. That the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash itself is the undoing of the Tzimtzum, because the light prior to the Tzimtzum is a tohu. It's too chaotic, which is why the Gimel Rishon are referred to as the Gimel de Paranusa. But each day has a light that comes down and needs to be mislabish within the kalim of that day, which is the drawing down of those Zayin Tachtonim Da'atik into the Gilgalta, which is the secret of the tikkunim of the mind, those tools of thinking, those spiritual tools available to me through the light of the tzaddikim in order to help me elevate myself out of the stuckness and draw down the light of the future of the tikkun into exile itself. And this is just a lashon to frame the idea of why we're talking about the Tala de Bedulcha and what the Tala de Bedulcha means in terms of learning how to think properly to find HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So first and foremost, let's look at Rabbi Nachman in Torah Pei Daled. So Rabbi Nachman is quoting the Gemara that says, how have you elongated your days? How have you elongated your days? How have you drawn significance into your days? How have you drawn that light of Atik into Arich? How have you drawn that infinite light into the space of finitude? And Amar Lo, he said to him, Vatran hayiti b'mamoni. I wasn't too focused on my own relationship to money, but I let go of it. I gave it over. I lived a life of openness and enoughness rather than a life of scarcity. So in order to understand this, says Rabbi Nachman, we have to first and foremost look at the Zohar and Pashas Naso, Daf Kuf Chaf Gimel. And this is the language of the Zohar, which is what we're going to use for trying to understand the importance of this notion of Tala de Bedulcha, which is the light of this Shabbos and this week and the tikkun that we're experiencing in our own minds, how to rectify the anxiety. V'zel l'shono, tachazi, come and see. L'shis yamei bereshis, for the 6 days of creation corresponding to those 7 tikkunim de Gilgalta plus Malchus, which is going to be the secret of the Zayin de Nechemta, which is revealed. That for each and every day of creation, l'chol chad isle partzufa dahahu darged de anhigbe. Each and every day operates in accordance with the level and the configuration that is present in that day. V'loy tishkach yoim de leis botov. And there's no day that doesn't have goodness in it. V'chol yuma isle geder milabar. But every day also has the perimeters and the protective perimeters surrounding it. De lo ya'il be barnash lahahu tov, that no individual can ascend up to that goodness until they pass through these minios, like the darkness that covers over the light. Ubeginda, and as a result of this, man deihu chayava v'ya'il leminde raza da'raisa, each and every person who feels that urgency and that necessity of running upwards to uncover the secrets of Torah of that day in order to live for another day. How many snakes and scorpions? The snakes represent the the midos ra'os, the taivos ra'os, and the akrav represents the kfira, the coldness of the mind. A person who feels that they need to ascend. How many snakes and scorpions are going to come and be mebabel our das? Not to enter into a place that doesn't belong to us. Aval man tov, but a person who's good, who connects to that place of aleph hey vav hey, which we spoke about, that nikuda of tov, that nikuda of the etzem haluz, that nikuda of the goodness that exists in Yerushalayim. Kol ilan netirun inun lememra. Everything is waiting there for him. All of these difficulties are transformed into places of connection. The kategor naase sanegor. The kategor naase sanegor. And the accusatory angel is in and of itself transformed into the defendant. That the negativity itself is transformed into the goodness. And the secret of Marav Tuvcha, like we saw in the Zohar Kadosh and Parsha Shlach, how good is the goodness that you've stored away in the north? The north is concealed and the north is goodness. How could it be? The intensity of concealment there is the thing that motivates the potency of revelation that will come from there. The kategor nasa sanegor v'ya'alan love l'toyev haganuz, and a person then ascends into the good that is concealed for that day. V'yemron, and they will say, Marana ha'barnash toyev v'tzadik v'yirei shemayim ba'ila ela kadmich. They're going to announce that there's a good person here. There's a tzaddik. There's someone with yirei shemayim who has the desire to ascend upwards. Hahu toyev ganuz yaman lei, and what they're going to say to the goodness that is hidden away for that day, piskili b'haytaryad iskari ahava. Open up the gates in the light of that gate which is referred to as love. Or that gate which is referred to as tshuva. Each and every day has its own gate. Each tzaddik goes up in accordance with their own level. And there's no goodness el Torah. And when a person wants to find relief of the day, to find the relief in the Torah, in the secrets of the benefits of the Zayin Denachemta, finding that illumination, which Raphael Parcher said is the light of Pnimius HaTorah, the only thing that brings comfort. A person has to be aware that their mind is going to be confounded and confused. And these are our anxieties and our thoughts and our ruminations. And when a person truly desires to enter in, to extend that day, they have to enter into that place of tikkun. And so we see that each and every day has its own light. And in order to retrieve the light of that day, in order to elongate the day, in order to make the day meaningful, in order to have woken up this morning and to say, Ribono Shel Olam, I'm going to reveal you more today than anybody else did in history, because nobody operates in accordance with the limited tzimtzumim of the Nahi, the Chagas, and the Chabad that each and every particular individual experiences. Mamela, each person is a halal hapanui of their own making. Each person has their own level of concealment, and in accordance with our own particular tzimtzumim, so too is going to be the incredible revolution of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Giloy Lamata into our own particular place. Each person has to wake up and say, Moida ani lefanecha melechai v'kayom, shechazarta bi nishmasi, that today, Ribono Shel Olam, I have a shlichus v'hu ye'or hashachar, that I'm going to reveal your light and the light of Mashiach in a way that has never been revealed. And the only way to do that is to live with the times, to tap into the tools provided to us by our tzaddikim, and the tools needed for thinking. And this tikkun that we're orienting ourselves towards right now is the Talad de Bedulcha. What's the Talad de Bedulcha? The Talad de Bedulcha is the secret of the Butzina de Kardanusha, the concealment that is expressive. It's the ability of the mind to contain itself. It's the ability of the mind to set limits and boundaries to itself, and to believe with a wholeheartedness that I do not need to seek out what I feel I need outside of my mind, but I can find it in my mind. There is a hidden trapdoor that awakens a Yeshua within the mind to be mamtik everything. Each and every person has the ability, no matter where they find themselves, to be mamtik zayin alts, to fix everything in their mind by uncovering that nekuda of tov, by overcoming the menios of the moach in accordance with their ability, and to uncover that secret of the butzina de kardanusa, the darkness that shines, specifically by way of setting gvulim. Talad de Bedulcha is what comes down on Pesach night. That's the Tal of Bracha. It's the Tal of Tchiyas HaMesim. It illuminates the Etzem Haluz. It's the secret of our ability to survive beyond what we felt we were able to survive. It's the ability of enoughness. It's the ability for a person to enter into a state of calmness by way of quieting down and silencing the outside world, by way of forming and reforming and edifying and building the kotle hamachshava, the walls of the mind, which are gevuros themselves, as the tzaddikim point out, and the secret of melech asur b'rehitim, that it's the king who's chained up in chains, and it's the secret of Asr berehute moicha, it's chained up in the chains of the mind, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called down, b'chol karenu elav, when we call upon Hashem in our minds, we open ourselves up to a place of Gan Eden, where the person can close their eyes for a moment and feel safe and feel calm and feel okay and taste of Hahu Tov, that or Haganus. That's the secret of the Talud de Bedulcha, the enoughness that rests in the mind, the ability to invert the mind, to set the limit and not think outside of the confines of where I'm at, and trying to uncover the goodness and enoughness that exists within me where I am in this moment. And that's the secret of the man. That's the secret of man, the secret of emuna, the food that we need in order to illuminate ourselves, the sustenance that arrives when we feel that there is no sustenance, and the inability to see the sustenance. Like we said, a tainuk hamurgash, a felt pleasure, is something where I can see exactly what it is that's giving me my sustenance. That's the secret of somebody who has eyes to see their food, has true satisfaction, and why a summa is nechshav kames, why someone who's blind to a certain degree is considered as not having that full experience of life, especially in the area of food, especially in the area of seeing and fully experiencing that taste. But there's a secret of the man, of the inability to see what one is drawing their sustenance upon, but nevertheless drawing the depths of sustenance upon it, and that's the secret of the man, the secret of emuna, the secret of not knowing what, but uncovering the secret of that present thing. And the Arizal, in describing the nature of what the man is, he explains that it is in truth this ability of the mind to orient itself to a calmness and a closedness that can then focus in on the particular point of significance and connectivity that is right in front of me. That's the secret of the man. And now, B'siyata Deshmaya, we'll look at the words of the Arizal in Sefer Alikutim Parshas Ekev. So Gam Kain, says the Arizal, Haman nitain li Yisrael b'midbar dor hadeya. The man was given to Klal Yisrael when they found themselves in the midbar, in the secret of Midbar Matana, b'schus Moshe Rabbeinu, which was the full representation of Dor Hadeya, that place of Das, the Das of Moshe. That Das of Moshe that we have to bring into Eretz Yisrael. That Das of Moshe, which is so concealed in the Klipas Hadas of Erev Rav, but nevertheless it needs to be brought into Eretz Yisrael. Al Yidei Moshe Rabbeinu, it has to be brought in through Moshe Rabbeinu. Shenishmaso mimakom hadas, because the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu, like we've discussed, is also from the place of Das. V'zehu shenirmaz b'pasuk, and this is the hint in the pasuk, says the Arizal. The Haman kizera gad, and the man was like this drop, the seed that was covered over with dew. Sofe tevos Eden. The last letters of the Haman Kezerah Gad are the letters Eden, which is the secret of the Talib de Bedulcha, which is the secret of the Nahar Hayotzami Eden, Lahashkes Sagan, which is the secret of Bina, which is emergent out of Chachma, that descends and drip drops into a person's mind, that enables us to live Began Eden Mikedem, Began Eden Mikedem, to live as if we're in Gan Eden, to taste of the Eitz HaChaim in our lives. Shehu Mikedem, that place of the Gan Eden, that place of Chachma, that place of drawing down the Das of Moshe Rabbeinu, comes from a place prior to consciousness, which is why the Morinayim says that we can't know the burial place of Moshe Rabbeinu, V'havein, and understand this, specifically because it's the light of Chachma, but it needs to be understood, it needs to be drawn down. Ki misham hayayered Haman, the man came from that place. The sustenance that Klal Yisrael had, yes, there was the real man that's hidden in the Aron Kodesh, but simultaneous and connected inherently was the emergence of the man within the mind itself. Misham hayayered Haman, the man would be drawn down from that place of Eden, of Adayin, that unthought place in the mind. Mimakom hamoach shel hamachshava, from the mind of thought, from the innermost point of thought. Mimakom hamoach shel hamachshava. Umimakom elyon talid de bedulcha, and from that lofty place of the talid de bedulcha, which is the secret of the butzina de kardenusa, which are the Zayin tikkunim of Atik that are mislabish and arich, shuhu aleph me Zayin tikkuni deresha, which is one of the 7 rectifications of the head, keniskar bedrushim, as is described in Eitz Chaim. Vu haroish shenim latal, and it is the mind that is filled with tal. The Resise Laila, the Tal Le Oires. Tal is the gematria of all of the names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Shem Ab, Sag, Ma, Ben. There's 10 letters in Ab, 10 letters in Sag, 10 letters in Ma, and 9 letters in Ben. And the secret of Mara Samachpela, which is 39, which is the Lamitas Melachos. It's the Tal Shel Bracha. That's Yored Me Lamala Lamata. It's the ability to transform the Lamitas Melachos and the Klipa in this world into the light of Tchias HaMeisim Mamish, which is the Tal, which is the Isarusa de La'ela that comes down through our pretending to have Isarusa de Latata, Kihu Achdus Shalem Hashem Echad, the secret of Hashem Echad, 26 and 13, which is the gematria of 39, as Rav Menachem Mendel Mishklav describes, all bracha comes down by way of Tal. It's the recognition of powerlessness. V'yoyred ala zakein dikna da'arich, and it comes down from that lofty place down to the beard of Arich Anpin, which are further tikkunim, the Yud Gimel tikkunei the Arich, down to the Sheva tikkunim the Atik, the Zah. So all of these different tikkunim that we're going to see, the rectifications of the beard, they're all sa'aros, they're all sha'arim that conceal for the sake of revealing. So we're drawing down from the Zayin tikkune, the Golgalta, the secret of Atik, that's Maslabish and Arich, and then it goes down to the full expression of the B'tzidin de Kardanusa, the full concealment of the mind, and the 13 pathways of thinking, and the Yud Gimel Midos, Shatorah, and Nidroshes Bahem, and all of the differences between Prat and Klal and the Yud Gimel Midas of Rachamim, Mishan Lezaken Aaron Dikna Deza, and from there it goes down to the beard of the Kohen Gadol, the Dikna Deza, the 7 tikkunim of Zer Anpin, again showing, highlighting the value of illuminating this light by way of drawing it down further and further to the point of accessibility. Va'az Yored Al Pi Midoisav Tal Chermon, and then it's Maslabish within Zer Anpin, like the secret of Tal Chermon that rests on top of the mountain, She Yored Al Harei Tzion, that comes down all down to the place of the Chesed Gvura Teferes, which is Ava, Yira, Dveikus, and the Netzachoid and Yesod, which is the secret of remembering Ava, remembering Yira, remembering Dveikus. Umisham Toichnim Zeh Haman Letzadikim, and Netzach and Hod do the work there of refining that light, that man that has come down, that illumination of the mind, Mekadmas Eden, that comes down to the Tzadikim, the Katish Katishin Latet Lunukva, and it prepares that sustenance and the gifts and the jewelry being offered to Nukva, to Malchus, to elevate the Tzafon, to elevate that which is most real in a person's life, the moment right here. Ubi Yasoid Zahatal, and this Tal descends down from the Yasoid Nikra Amen. It's referred to as Amen in that place, the unity between Havaya and Adnus, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's concealed presence and HaKadosh Baruch Hu's revealed presence by way of concealment, which is the secret of Man in the incorporation with the letter Aleph, which represents the Pella HaElyon, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light that is perpetually being drawn down from the loftiest of places, from the secret of the Reshad Lois Yada, being drawn down into the man, V'hu Nikras Emuna, which is perpetually transforming us back to a place of Emuna, realizing that we don't know anything, V'sham Hazivug B'zera Kodesh Matzvasa, and it's at that place where in the congealment of the mind, that holy light and that holy spark of okayness begins to descend down, V'amein Nikra B'zivug, and the secret of Amein is referred to as the unification between Zer Anpin and Malchus, because it's the secret of the Shem Havaya, which is Zer Anpin, and the Shem Adnus, which is Malchus, which is the gematria of Amein, gematria of 91, V'havein, and a person must understand this. And when this light comes down, lavoy la'alma de piruda, to descend down into the place of concealment, into that place of the need for the Zayin Denachemta, haya niglem ba'avirim, there would be a process of congealment, v'dalad yisodes, through the eish, ruach, mayim, and afar, to the point that it would congeal itself in a certain element of reality that a person would be able to taste from this place. Haya niglem ba'avirim, it would congeal, it would conceal itself. The kli is just the congealment of the light, the Yisrael karu oisei man, and we refer to it as man hayodim sodo, because they understood the secret. That's the Tala de Bedulcha. Tal, the man, is the ability to taste our world in our days, the ability to conceal the mind, focus in on that which is right, focus in on that which is good, focus in on what a person can do, focus in on the next word in Tefillah, the next word in Torah, the next good thing. And in that light comes the Yishav Adas that gets rid of the Nechashim V'Akvarim. Today, I believe, is the yard site of the Heilige of Aaron Belzer, the Heilige of Aaron Belzer, Schusli Ogan Aleinu, the Tzaddik of Tel Aviv, the Tzaddik who illuminated Eretz Yisrael, the Tzaddik who transformed the death and destruction into a place of Etzam Aluz, into a place of Tchias HaMeisim. And my Saba, Schusi Ganalino, had the schus of spending a Shabbos b'cheder Penima with Rav Aaron Belzer. And Rav Aaron Belzer, my Saba said, was just washing his hands over and over and mumbling. And what my Saba told us he was mumbling is that it's late. And the Rebbe said that the time that Rav Aaron Belzer would wash Netilas Yadayim every time that he remembered he was alive, because Rav Aaron Belzer was a Zoy Neshama, he was a Malach Hashem Tzvakos, who was Mezachich the Guf to such a degree that he was able to be nehene from the inner panemius of Man, from that Man and the secret of Tel Aviv, which is from the Tuf back to the Aleph, from the Or Choizer of the Tuf, the lowest part of the Aleph base, back up to the Aleph, to be Megala the Pella Elyon, to be Mahapech the Misa itself in Tchias HaMeisim through the Tala de Bedulcha, to allow the concealment of the mind to become that place of comfort and that place of of Yishuv Adas. And the story is known that in his escape from the Nazis, Yimach Shemam, and his escape from the enemies of Klal Yisrael, which he so intensely tried to destroy from the inside out, that Rav Aaron Belzer carried along the ability to find calmness, that no matter what, he would take a moment to calm himself. He would take a moment to center his mind. And the Hasidim would say, Rebbe, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he would say that just because we're running away in a Zman of Sakanas Nefashos doesn't give us permission to have Bilbul Hadas, that Hashem Yatzileni me Pizor Hadas. Hoshana Nefesh Bahala Hoshana, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should come and restore the sanity to the mind that has lost its mind, to the mind that is nervous, to the mind that is worried, and give it the ability to taste the man, which is the secret of the Torah, being nitin to oichle haman, because the Torah is the man. To think a thought of Torah, to think a thought of menucha, to think a thought of emuna, is in and of itself to sustain ourselves from the man, until we actually partake of the man, b'nira v'hanigla, with Moshe Rabbeinu entering back into Eretz Yisrael and bringing our das, our nakuda of das, into Eretz Yisrael, and in that way drawing out the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu here in Kodesh HaKadoshim, Yibein Shnei HaKruvim, from between the poles of the mind in that secret place of knowing Be'ezras Hashem.